bail. So what we do have is an update on the Katherine Aguasvivas case. By no means do I believe this case or this story is over. The last time we spoke about this was after that last press conference a couple of days ago. For those that don't know the story, make sure you check out those videos. They're the Katherine Aguasvivas videos. We had part 1 and part 2. Last that we checked, they had 2 people of note that they had one arrested, which was the one that had something to do with, they found him through the car. They also found him on his Facebook page wearing the same exact outfit, including the mask that he had on when he pulled the jacking and kidnapped Katherine Aguasvivas. So they had him in custody the last time we spoke. And they also were looking for Giovanni. They were looking for Giovanni Bangs. He was the last person that Katherine Aguasvivas spoke to on FaceTime. They pulled surveillance on his house. They ended up getting a warrant. They ended up finding narcotics and guns. At the same time, they caught his girlfriend somewhere else in Osceola picking up narcotics in a U.S. Postal Service package. Now we're about to get the update, so here we go.
First, we'll start with an update briefing on the kidnapping, carjacking, murder of Katherine Aguasvivas. I will introduce formally 2 additional people that are involved in this investigation, and then I'll talk a little bit more about Jordan, who has been identified in the past by me at these news conferences as a strong person of interest. We're changing that and ultimately going to be charging him, but I'll get into those details in just one.
All right, so it's like he let the let the cat out the bag. They're gonna charge. He called him Jordan. We call him Jordanish. Jordanish is getting charged. Evidently, he's no longer just a person of interest. Now remember, they popped him and they locked him up over another warrant that he had. So they got him in custody already.
The first person we'll introduce you to in this case is Kevin Justiano. He goes by the street name Kivo. Kivo came to our attention in the early stages of this investigation after we saw a red Toyota Corolla at the same apartment complex where our green Acura was dropped off. This is the apartment complex where that green Acura was towed away. We saw a red Toyota Corolla, and we used video surveillance at that location to get unique identifiers, the license plate of this car, and then ultimately came back to a relative of Kivo's.
But when did they get these videos? Like, when did they bring that car back to that housing? When did this happen?
Kivo has been on our radar ever since that moment. This photograph is a photograph of him being arrested yesterday by the U.S. Marshals in Puerto Rico on unrelated charges to this case. But the charges, the federal charges.
So almost everybody in this story got popped off on unrelated charges to the story.
Charges that he's being arrested for is possession of an automatic weapon and drug trafficking. Again, not related to this. He is in custody in Puerto Rico, and he will be extradited back to Central Florida to face charges in the Middle District of Florida federally for this, in addition to this investigation continuing on. Again, red Toyota Corolla that was seen at the location was registered to a relative of his. The red Toyota Corolla was seen picking up the occupants of the green Acura.
When?
After what appeared to be the occupants cleaning that Acura up, wiping it down, doing other.
When? After the Aguasvivas kidnapping? When was this video taken? That's what I want to know. They're not giving me that information.
Other things. One of the images here, you can see clearly the Toyota Corolla. We believe that it was Kivo driving that Toyota Corolla, picking up the occupants of the green Acura at that time. In addition to that, I said we were still waiting for records to come in, and we're still waiting for a majority of the records that we have subpoenaed to come in. But one of the records that have now come in puts Kivo at the scene with Jordan of the kidnapping. So it is likely, more likely than not, and I believe it's Kivo driving the green Acura and Jordan holding the gun at the window, committing the kidnapping.
So evidently these guys had their phones on them. And now they're picking up pings off of cell towers. And they know exactly where they triangulated your position and know exactly where you was at the time that this went down. Congratulations. You played yourself.
And we'll get in more to that as we go on. Next person is Giovanni Hernandez.
Oh,
and
the
Giovanni
bangs is banging. The bangs got bigger. Look at that. Wildin'. What about this guy? We thought he was the other guy in the car.
Giovanni, as you know, was wanted out of Seminole County after we conducted a search warrant of his home. But because this case is complicated and there's a lot of moving parts, Giovanni was first introduced into this investigation because he was the last person that our decedent, Katherine, spoke to. We were able to identify that in two ways. One, we received a screenshot that was sent by the victim's brother. Victim's brother's name is Lewis. He sent us a screenshot of Giovanni's photograph and said, this is the last person that she spoke to. We were able to run that photograph through a program run out of the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office called FACES. It's a facial recognition program, and it came back 98.6%.
Of course it did. You're going to recognize those bangs anywhere. That machine didn't have to do too much work.
Likely that it was Giovanni with a Castleberry address. We believe our victim was on her way to meet Giovanni in Castleberry because the route that she was traveling from Homestead is a GPS route that's routed in and around the location where he was at. As a reminder, first we got a report from her husband, Miguel, that said that she was coming to Central Florida to visit family members. Additionally, we said that there was no family members that we could locate here. We later identified 2 family members that are in and around the area, but they were not expecting her to come up. Lewis, the brother, then gave a report to detectives that said she was on her way to Seminole County or the Central Florida area to deliver money and other stuff to a friend.
Other stuff.
We think that friend is Giovanni. So Giovanni was there. He was wanted out of Seminole County because we conducted a search warrant of his home. The search warrant revealed what appears to be a lot of property, likely stolen property, as well as fentanyl and other drugs and a gun. So he is now...
He played himself just answering the brother's phone call. He answered the brother's phone call. He showed his face. He got screenshotted. Evidently, the brother knows who he is, so it's probably why he did that. Just answering that call, I mean, I'm sure they would have narrowed it down to him eventually, but he played himself. He got all kind of different charges going on.
Being held in Seminole County on trafficking fentanyl and possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. That's his local charges here. Talk about Jordan again. Jordanish. So the last time we talked about Jordan, we said that he was, again, in custody on charges being held out of Puerto Rico. We later released the photograph. I identified him as a person of interest.
See, his mama wanted a basketball player, but when he was born, they realized he was smaller than they thought he would be. He wasn't going to be big enough, you know what I'm saying? So they were like, you know, it's not really Jordan, but it's Jordan-ish.
We found that he had a connection to the purchase of the green Acura. We found a Facebook profile that had a number dating back to an Orange County arrest in 2019 with his phone number. We know that he purchased the Acura. He was then seen in his profile picture wearing what appears to be the same exact...
That's the kicker right there, boy. He might as well have stopped and took a selfie right there when he was jacking old girl and opening the door to get in the back seat. He might as well stop, took a selfie and pulled his mask down after doing what he just did, that you got that same outfit on in broad daylight, knowing everybody got cameras, you up the hammer on shorty, open the door, get in, and again, it's not like it saved her, didn't save her, but it got you popped. That's a
close as the person committing the crime of kidnapping, and now we've been able to put through evidence, through records, that his cell phone was at that location, so he now is going to be charged. Kevo is going to be charged federally with carjacking resulting in death.
Now, I'm sure that charge is going to change. That has the potential to turn into something premeditated, if you ask me. I don't know. This sheriff kind of keeps shit close to the chest, I guess, but I can't see that charge staying carjacking resulting in death. This is a whole little conspiracy they got going on here with all these people connected, especially with the father, with the husband and the brother handing out information the way they did. Crash Out said looks more like Rodman-ish. yeah, he do look Rodman-ish. You're right. It's a group of bad guys, all right? But I don't think this is over, and I don't think them charges are going to stay like that. I think that's right now. I think those charges are going to evolve.
Recently had a conversation with the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District, Roger Hamburg. They will be assuming a lot of these cases and the follow-up investigation with our assistance, because I think we now can look at the evidence and conclude that our victim, Katherine, was killed in Osceola County. That's where the shell casings were at. That's where the car was set on fire. We know that she was the victim of the carjacking here in Seminole County, and then they traveled through Orange County on the journey down there. But that part of the investigation is again ongoing. Again, Jordan and Kevo charged with the federal charge of carjacking resulting in death, and these are some of the updates that we have now in the investigation.
Now, this Giovanni kid, they really ain't got nothing on him except for what they popped him for, as far as what they got from their search warrant and what they already were looking for him on. Whatever transaction between him and her apparently never happened. She never made it to him. But I'm sure they're going to gather up information from all of them. They're going to get Rodman-ish. They're going to get Banks together. They're going to get Kevo, Puerto Rico together, and they're going to have conversations. Everybody's going to have conversations. Everybody going to talk and say something.
Real quick, not to interrupt, but I think you misidentified. You called Jordan and Kevo. They're not the same person, right?
Yep. Well, yep, you're right. So Jordan is Jordanish, and if I said that, I'm getting myself confused on some of these things. So let me go Kevo. Yep. Let me go Kevo.
It ain't that hard, officers. And
is again, Kevo is Kevin Justiano. Kevo was the one that was arrested yesterday in Puerto Rico on the federal charges of possession of an automatic weapon and drug trafficking not related to this particular crime. He was wanted. Those are new charges. Those are federal charges. He will be extradited back here to the Middle District of Florida to face those charges federally. He was introduced to us because the red Toyota Corolla that picked up the two occupants of the green Acura moved into that vehicle. That vehicle was registered to a relative of his, and then his phone records put him at the scene of the carjacking, along with Jordan. Did I clear?
Jordan's charges, to be clear, are?
Jordan will be also charged federally with carjacking and then ultimately resulting in a murder.
So who was the supposed third man? Or are you saying that Kevo and Jordanish were the two guys that were there, right? Their phones pinged at that location. But now you're telling me that Kevo, driving the red Corolla or Toyota or whatever he said, was picking up the two occupants of the Acura. That doesn't make sense. That would say three people. So are you saying he was the guy that was in the car with the kidnapper, or are you saying he was the guy in the red car? Like, that part I don't get.
Murder or homicide or death. So again, I'll let The U.S. Attorney's Office will be looking at this again tomorrow to determine the most appropriate charges. And there's a lot of evidence that really hasn't even come back on this yet. And again, still relatively early stages of this, but a lot of good police work, taking an incredibly complicated and confusing situation with a lot of moving parts and putting it into play.
Sheriff, you said that Kivo picked up the occupants of the green Acura, so is there still somebody connected to this case that we don't know about?
Not that we're aware of. So we think that the driver, likely driver of the green Acura was Kivo, right? There could have been more people in that car. You clearly cannot see how many people are in that car.
But what did you see in that parking lot? Show us that tape.
We know that the occupant that got out of the car holding the gun and committing the act of carjacking was Jordan. And again, as this investigation continues to evolve and we get records back, there may be others in that car. We just simply don't know. But we now have records that put the two at that location at the time, and they will face the federal charges for that. Again, carjacking resulting in death is the charges that they will face federally for that particular situation.
Have you come across a motive yet? And is Giovanni a part of that? I think that's the part that's...
Well, listen, this whole thing, I suspect from the beginning, everyone who's watched this has known it's about drugs and money, right? I mean, you look at the history.
It's about drugs and money.
The background, and again, we'll find out more specific details as this investigation goes. But clearly, there's a drug and money nexus here, right? That's probably enough motive for people that are engaged in this type of behavior to kind of stay in business.
So for our purposes, can we refer to Giovanni, Jordanish, and Kivo all as suspects at this point? Or are they still... Well,
I'll say it like before, is we think that they did it. We're going to charge them. We don't charge people unless we think that they did it. So suspect, we're alleging that they're the ones responsible. We would not put charges on them if we did not believe that was the case. So
to be clear on that end, Giovanni wasn't a part of that statement that you just made. To clarify, you don't believe he was involved in the actual kidnapping part?
Correct. I'm not going to speak specifically to the level of involvement because that will continue to evolve, come out. But he is not being charged with the kidnapping. We are.
So they're separating Giovanni out of that. They don't want. They said it might change, but as of right now, they're separating Giovanni out of that conversation.
Only charging the two people that were out there. We think that Giovanni's connection was the last person that our victim spoke to. We think that she was probably on her way to Giovanni's home. But the act of the carjacking, the two that were there is what we're saying, Kivo and Jordan, not Giovanni.
And as far as her traveling to Giovanni, Katherine with Giovanni, are we with what in the car and for what purpose?
It's a level of speculation, right? We don't know that for sure. I don't know that. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, she's no longer alive. She can't attest to it. But I think when we see that the last person she spoke to, that the brother said she was delivering money and other stuff to a friend, the path that she was traveling was a path towards their residence.
The lawyer shred that to pieces, though, in court. I think. Yeah, okay, cool. The map was headed that way. So what? What does that mean? It would make sense that criminals stop taking their phones with them. That's like these criminals that take their wallets and their IDs with them and drop their wallets at the scene of the crime. You wildin'. You had it coming.
I think that you can only assume that that's probably where. But that's my hunch, right? We don't know that for sure right now.
Is there anything
I want to come back to the timeline. You say that the Acura Green was getting to the truck on March 19, and after that was released. How this car was released if it wasn't even registered? Someone paid to get it out? How that worked for that Acura?
I don't know what she's yapping about.
You talking about the first time it was towed from an Orange County? Yes. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances. That part of the investigation is in the Orange County Sheriff's Office lane, and although there is a nexus and connection here.
Orange County ain't doing no press conferences, bro. We need you to come up off that information.
They're the most informed authority to speak on that. I don't know the circumstances of when the vehicle was released. Sometimes when vehicles are towed for whatever reason through a tow contract of an apartment complex, they're looking for somebody to come in and get it out. And when somebody presents themselves with money and pays it out, they typically release it. And what these folks typically were doing is sending somebody that may or may not be directly connected to offer whatever cost and fee it is to get the car out. But I don't know the answer to that question.
You know more about the time it took for the victim to get to Osceola County, obviously, and that's where you found that car, the burned car. What happened in that time frame, and even more about that timeline.
So the timeline between the kidnapping and arriving at Orange County is a pretty tight timeline. It's about an hour and 45 minutes or so.
All right. So he's saying that they showed, okay, then that video must be after. That must be about 2 hours after the kidnapping that they showed up in that parking lot with that red Corolla. I don't know.
And with rush hour traffic, it's not that...
Because they had to take time to light the car up and air it out, you know.
Unrealistic to have that commute take potentially maybe even an hour or so. But we think that the route was direct. Some evidence and records are coming back to kind of prove that. Some of those records have come in. We know that the route that we said, traveling, making the U-turn, getting up to Tuscaloosa Road, traveling south on Tuscaloosa Road, getting on 417 by cutting over traffic, getting on 417 southbound has been confirmed by records. Likely getting off at Narcoossee Road, traveling down to Boggy Creek. How long they were at the location, we don't know at the time because that location was off. So it may, in all intents and purposes, been a direct route there, and then any time delay between the report of guns fired and the flames or smoke from the vehicle was just the time that they were there. So again, that will come out further in the investigation when we get
all right, let us know. We've been waiting for this information.
Go here. I'm not going anywhere, so we got plenty of time. So.
As far as your investigation has revealed, anything in Catherine's background or husband's background that shows any history of drug dealing or any involvement in anything like this?
So not that we have access to right now. I will reshape the husband and brother's involvement. I said that they were cooperating at first. Husband is no longer cooperating with us. And
there it is. Husband is no longer cooperating. Ah, man, that's a man that loved his woman right there for sure. That's a real loving husband that sent his wife up there to do some dirty work, and now he half cooperate, half not cooperate. Him and her brother. Oh, that's a loving brother. Brother loved his sister so much, protected her so well. Husband living up to his vows to protect her. When she calls him and tells him, I'm getting followed, chased, and rammed. And he don't call authorities at that moment. Dirty dog shit. Dirty, dirty, dirty dog shit.
Brother has been crossed up in multiple lies with our detectives.
Brother bullshit.
So to shape that they're cooperating would not be accurate. So they are no longer cooperating. The husband is not cooperating at all. And the brother feels like he's cooperating, but he's telling us lies. So again, that will be a part of the investigation that's ongoing.
Them two gonna go to jail eventually.
Chief, Jordanis is a suspect now about in the Catherine's case.
Say it again.
Jordanis is a suspect now. Jordanis is a suspect now.
Yes. Let's call him a strong suspect. He's the guy with the gun, committing the crime. And I think that when we release that photograph with somebody in the Facebook wearing the exact same clothes as the person on the scene, I think that most people that saw that video said, yeah, you don't have to be the sharpest detective to know that it's likely this guy. But now with
it's not hard to tell that this Okie is this Okie right here, this goofball, wearing the same outfit up to the mask, even the mask you got on, bruh. That's your do-dirt outfit. Why you taking pictures? Because you foolish.
The records putting him back at that location at that time, we're confident it's him. So again,
shout out Zorada. She said this is gonna get even bigger. You might be right, PK. Maybe he owe Kevo money. Super gonna get bigger. And who they're gonna sing on? That shit's gonna reverberate throughout whoever from the connect to the connect to the connect. This is, you know what I'm saying? Like this story is out there in the Latino community and in the in the narcotics community. Jonathan said it's the people you think you love the most who do you in, unfortunately. Yeah, a stranger can't betray you. Betrayal comes from somebody that you love.
At the scene of the carjacking, right, it's Kivo and Jordan. That's there.
And with Jordanish and Kevin, do we know if they're associates with Giovanni? Sorry, that was already touched on. Or associates with anyone?
Look, I think all these folks are connected together, right? But what we can prove will come out in evidence that is going to be released to us, and then probably as we shift now to the federal part of this investigation, the federal authorities will be taking the lead on this with our assistance and participation. But I think this entire group is absolutely connected, and from the activities, probably not the first time that they've been involved in criminal activity and committing crimes.
You think?
So I just want to
What's up with the
understand
tow
very well
truck
this
driver,
information.
though? That's
So
what I
you say the brother is, you're catching the brother lying sometimes. So is a possibility that Giovanni is not the last person that she spoke? So in the FaceTime is actually Katherine on the screenshot? I just want to confirm that information.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're pretty confident that Giovanni was the last person that she had communication with, because the timeline is pretty tight there. So we think that he's truthful about that. But even when he sent us the initial screenshot, and we're talking about Lewis, the brother, when he sent us the screenshot, he screenshotted it and edited it to the point where his photograph was out of it.
Absolutely.
And sent that to us. It was the forensic examination of his cell phone that he gave to us where we had the opportunity to look at the original image with his photograph in there. So, but he's lying to us. You know, we've been able to cross him up in multiple lies. He's helping initially to a certain extent, but he's telling us a whole lot of lies that we have to kind of go through. He could be a lot more cooperative.
That screenshot is Luis and Giovanni, no Katherine and Giovanni.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And as far as other players kind of involved in this, I forgot.
Yeah, on the edited version, I'll turn these questions that these reporters are asking up.
His name, but the Orange County deputy. Is there any update as to how he kind of plays in and ties into this?
So again, nothing new on the Orange County deputy. We're continuing to work that side of it. Obviously, we want his records on his work computer, access to the database like the David system where he find those unique characteristics about our detective. We want to know what his phone records look like, communicating back and forth. So again, we have not received those records back, but nothing new with the Orange County deputy or that part of this investigation. Okay? So again, sorry for any confusion. I think I've clarified kind of where we're at with this, but again, this is a lot of moving parts to this, and thank you all for getting...
And it ain't over because a lot of it still doesn't make sense. Kivo from Puerto Rico right here. Kivo's popped. You weren't even part of this story to us yesterday, but today you are. So evidently, that green car, after it burned up the white truck and burned up old girl and I guess shot it up because they found shells around the car, they drove back and they were recorded in this parking lot at this housing complex where that car had been towed from before, and they saw that car being cleaned up, and they saw Kivo drive in with them and drive them away. But he's not clarifying the whole, was it two people? Was Kivo in the green car, or was Kivo in the red car, or both? Did he go with and was there still two people in the car when Kivo had the Corolla? Because if that's the case, there was three people involved that were out there. But they're all going to tell on each other anyway. That's how this shit's going to go down. They're already telling on each other. And they're all in there on separate other cases. That charge ain't going to stay a carjacking charge for a long time. That's going to turn into some kind of capital murder.
Puts Kivo.
All right, so that's our boy Kivo. All right, we got Double Bangs. He saved himself from being involved in the carjacking case because she never made it to his house. So they're just speculating that the map kind of shows she was on her way there. Good luck with that. All right, so Giovanni, but you popped on all the other charges. They got a search warrant. Your girl's popped. Everything's popped. Time for a haircut, bro. It's over. The game's over for you. Rodmanish, your charges, you were a person of interest yesterday. Today you are being charged with carjacking leading to somebody being unalived. But I think that charge will change into something crazier. All of these guys are going to rat on each other. Everybody's going to say something about another one. They're going to say something about the connect. They're going to say something about this. They're going to say something about that. And this will continue to unravel and unravel as the time goes by. We'll continue to cover it. We're only getting things clarified somewhat on the Katherine Aguasvivas side. We're not getting nothing on the complete narrative, the complete story. You know, the tow truck driver that was unalived the night before they snatched her up, what he had to do with it. Did it have anything to do with the towing of the car, you know, in March? And all of these things are involved, and we're not getting no information on that. So I'm hoping we get it all at some point. Stop setting women on fire, stupid. Over greed. Over some bread that y'all gonna trick off. Well, rest in peace, Katherine. You let these cowardly men trick you out of your life. Katherine Guerrero de Aguasvivas, 31, who is believed unalived after she was kidnapped at gunpoint in Central Florida on April 11th, 2024. Car believed to be hers with the body inside was found on fire in Osceola County hours later. Bricks of brocane tucked away in a lamp fixture are the latest twist in the investigation into the carjacking and unaliving of a Homestead woman in Central Florida. The revelation in the bizarre unaliving case emerged April 16th after Homeland Security investigations agents found a suspicious parcel being mailed from Puerto Rico, according to a federal criminal complaint. A canine alerted them of the package where the 3.28 keys of brocane were sealed in the lamp with caulk and nails. A police officer dropped the parcel off at a St. Cloud address in Central Florida near Kissimmee as agents staked out the area. Monique Sable, which is Giovanni's girlfriend, Monique Sable Romero Soto, was spotted repeatedly driving around the home in a white Acura SUV, presumably to ensure no law enforcement was present, the complaint alleges. So boom, yeah, they popped her for that. But again, that probably doesn't have nothing to do. I mean, it's probably connected somehow in the sense that they're all getting work from all over the place. But that probably didn't have nothing to do with Katherine. I mean, but it quite possibly could have. You know what I'm saying? She was on her way there. Maybe she was going to pick up that work. Maybe she was going there to bring money in. You know, something else for what Monique Sable was picking up at the house, whatever house they had that work mailed to in the lamp. All right, so that would make sense. But again, they're all in jail. They're going to get a whole bunch of stuff out of all of them. The information that's going to come is going to flow for real. I'm thinking this might be the tow truck driver right here. I think that's him. Miami investigators knew someone used the lamp fixture to hide 3 kilos of brocane and mailed the lamp from Puerto Rico to Osceola County. This helped them during an ongoing investigation into 2 unalivings in Central Florida. A 2002 forest green Acura, the only one in Florida, and rare 10mm rounds fired at both crime scenes connected the 2 unalivings, according to Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima. Juan Cintron, a father, was unalived on April 10th in Orange County's Taft area, and Katherine Guerrero on April 11th after she was abducted in Seminole County and found unalived in Osceola County. There is clearly a connection here. The mother, born in the Dominican Republic, was far from her home and beauty business in Deep South Miami-Dade County, police said. Federal agents with the U.S. Marshals Service, Homeland Security, and Drug Enforcement Administration worked with deputies from Osceola, Orange, and Seminole counties to solve the mystery. Cintron, the tow truck driver, also known as Juan Luis Cintron Garcia, was the tow truck driver. He had towed the forest green Acura later involved in Guerrero's unaliving. The tow was over illegal parking on March 19th in Orange County. He was 39. So we're talking about a whole month later. It's a whole month later, March 19th to basically, April 10th. How did they continue? They came for their revenge all that time later? They was on a rampage? They chose to crash out last weekend? I don't get it. I don't get the connection. We're going to see. A witness recorded a video showing an armed kidnapper jumping out of the green Acura before abducting Guerrero, also known as Katherine Altagracia Guerrero de Aguasvivas. Altagracia también, like, bruh. Names. Detectives were suspicious of Guerrero's husband, Miguel Aguasvivas. I think he knows a lot more than what he shared, Lema said during a news press conference, adding that Aguasvivas is not an unaliving suspect. On April 14th, deputies arrested Deputy Francisco Estrella in Orange County. The deputy's wife was allegedly a childhood friend of Aguasvivas, and Estrella was accused of misusing his position to get him information about the investigation. This is Monique Sable. Se quedó sin nombre también. Monique Sable, all right? Her mama liked the Monique Show and wrestling, all right? So Monique Sable, Romero Soto on the left, and her boyfriend Giovanni Bangs Crespo on the right were living in a house with rugs, cash, and a weapon, according to the deputies. The lamp fixture with the brocane came into play when federal and local law enforcement met Monique Sable Romero Soto, who showed up with a baby at a house in Osceola County to pick it up. U.S. Homeland Security agents arrested Romero Soto, 27, on April 17th. Seminole deputies searched the home where Romero Soto lived with her boyfriend, Giovanni Bangs Crespo, and reported finding cash, fent, and a firearm. Investigators believe Guerrero communicated with Crespo, also known as Giovanni Joel Crespo Hernandez, during her trip to Central Florida. According to Lema, Guerrero's husband reported she left South Florida to visit family in Central Florida, and her brother Luis Guerrero later told detectives Crespo told him she was there to deliver money and other stuff for a friend. Boom, we got Rodmanish right here. Rodmanish. Not Jordanish, Rodmanish. The guy that wore the same clothes in his Facebook profile picture that he wore to pull this jacking and unaliving. Investigators also connected Jordan Torres Garcia to the purchase of the green Acura, and the U.S. Marshal Service arrested him on April 19th. He had an active felony warrant for weapons possession. His phone number is matching the phone number that was given with the person who purchased the green Acura. Detective suspect Torres Garcia, 28, was the gunman in the witness's kidnapping video before Guerrero vanished. He is wanted for gun charges out of Puerto Rico, Lima said during a news conference on Friday, adding that he was accused of violating his probation. Lima said Torres Garcia's Facebook profile photo showed him wearing the same mask and outfit that the kidnapper was wearing before the unaliving. All right? Come on, Rodmanish, you tweaked. It's incredibly frightening to watch the boldness of this suspect. This perpetrator getting out of the car, wearing a hood, carrying a weapon in broad daylight, getting in the vehicle, Lima said about the video. Prosecutors have yet to file unaliving charges in the case. The direct connection between Jordan and Katherine has not been established. Estrella, 33, this is the deputy. The deputy arrested was facing charges of interception of wire, oral, or electronic communication, disclosure of wire, oral, or electronic communication, disclosure or use of confidential criminal justice information, unlawful use of a two-way communication device, accessing computer or electronic devices without authorization or exceeding authorization. All right. Monique Sable Romero Soto, 27, was facing a brocane trafficking charge in Osceola County. Crespo Hernandez, Bangs, and Torres Garcia were not facing charges for the unaliving either. But Lema described them as persons of interest. Now, we know that's changed today. Today, it's no longer he's a person of interest. Today, the charge is carjacking with resulting in unaliving. But we know that that charge is going to change. That charge is going to become a capital unaliving charge. Crespo, which is Bangs, and Rodmanish were not facing charges. We know Rodmanish and Kivo are now. They're facing charges of carjacking resulting in unaliving. Lima said investigators were still working to piece all the pieces of the puzzle together as detectives get more access to data and records. We feel incredibly comfortable with the evidence that we will be able to collect, Lemmer said. Unfortunately, some children lost their mama and a young lady lost her life. So it's a cold game. It's a dirty game. Stay out of it. Mind your business. Catch a bag. There's a million different ways to catch a bag nowadays. Catch a bag without catching bodies, making victims, or all of that good shit. You know?